Hey YouTube. Oh, I guess it is that day. I wasn't expecting you here this early. Um could you just give me a second? I'm gonna change and then we'll get right back into the video, okay? Alright. And now I'm back and what are you doing down there? How'd you even get down there? God, always being such a troublemaker. There we go. Okay. Now we're good. Alright, welcome back YouTube. It is once again me, your host, Grumblebrig. Today, we'll be taking a look at the 2025 album from Jane Remover called Revengeseekerz. Now, I did not discover this album on my own. It was actually recommended to me by a friend, and I thought, hey, why don't I do kind of a blind reaction and write my thoughts down for a script? That's besides the point. You're here for an album review, so why don't we get right into the video? So the first song on this album we'll be taking a look at is called Twice Removed. We start this album off with something that sounds like a phone drilling until more random shit comes in on the beat, including a synth that sounds kind of angry. Then the lyrics come in with some very heavy auto-tune, and this song already feels very, very busy and full of life, while also making me question what the hell is going on. Honestly, I think it's a really good start to the album, and I'm already glad that I went into this blind. This next song is called Psycho Boost. This song, we once again get more angry synth at the start, but this time it kind of sounds like it's glorping, whatever the hell that means. We then go into something that sounds kind of like an EDM beat until suddenly Danny Brown appears. I think his style actually goes really well with the beat, and holy shit, there is once again a lot going on with this song. They play around with noise only happening in one ear, which really adds to the disorienting effect of these songs. I think it works really well with whatever instrument they're using. But with Danny Brown's style, I feel he fits into an album like this really well. This next song is called Star People. We open with the sound of glass breaking, which keeps going on with the beat and is paired with a very hearty synth. Sometimes I wonder why I write these things in the script. Anyway, we get more heavily auto-tuned singing and a beat that I'm not really sure how to describe. But in the first half of this song, it kind of just feels like a musical panic attack. Once the second half starts, the original beat starts slowing down, and you get to hear a guitar that's really nice and soft with a bit of a gritty tone. At the same time, the vocals get a lot more smooth. This song is called Experimental Skin. No, I'm not kidding. Look it up yourself. This one starts with a beat that I can only describe as intergalactic, with a heavy droning bass note in the background and a softer synth that kind of feels like it's climbing, while the vocals and the lyrics almost sound like a pop song. After that section, the droning goes away, and the synth kind of makes me feel like I'm in the game Space Invaders. As those pixelated bolts whiz by my spaceship, the vocals are still going strong. They don't feel like the main focus of the song. In the last third of the song, I still feel like those pixelated bolts are still whizzing by, but I am getting the fuck out of here. Finally, the song starts to calm down, and I'm assuming I made it home in one piece, but I'm not sure. This next song is called Angels in Camo. Honestly, this one feels more like a continuation of the last song, where I'm assuming I made it home in one piece, but maybe I'm having some troubles at home. I don't know. Anyway, they transition into each other really well to a point where it feels more like a performance than just a song. Then, about halfway through, we get another sturdy bass line from the synth, which just keeps going until the end. That's about it. This song is called Dream Flasher. This one starts out kind of like a fucking seizure until we get some beeping and a more traditional rap beat paired with yet again another synth. Once again, there's a lot of shit going on in this song. Every few bars, we get a different gaming related sample, including the end of a Mario Kart race. Honestly, this is probably my favorite song in the album so far. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's just very busy and makes me feel like I should be floating through a tunnel of flashing lights with a seizure warning put right before that segment. This isn't the seizure warning. I'm not good enough at editing for that. This next song is called Turn Up or Die. Honestly, this shit kind of startled me. The bass just comes in like I'm getting fucking abducted or something and just slaps you in the face. After that, we go into another EDM sounding beat that's very heavily distorted. Then we go into some shit that I'm not even sure how to describe. Afterwards, the song gets kind of soft and loses the EDM beat, sort of. But we get a really nice harmony with the synth that almost sounds kind of hopeful in the background. As it goes back into the EDM beat, it gets very busy again with various instruments coming in and out. It then gets soft again. As we fade out, we only hear the vocals and that hopeful sounding synth, and we get to hear silence for a couple seconds as my mind recuperates in preparation for the absolute mindfuck that I'm going to have with this next song. This song is called Dancing with Your Eyes Closed. We start out really strong in this song with an upbeat EDM beat that kind of just feels like it's absorbing me, while gradually getting louder. But it was at this point in the album where I decided to stop writing and just fully engrossed myself into listening to the album and really appreciate what was going on. I feel as though sometimes we need to just appreciate the way things make us feel and stop trying to multitask or make content out of it or something like that. But you're here for an album review, aren't you? There is a lot going on here, and I feel like I'm just getting lost in the beat as well as everything else that's happening in the song. I think this is what people mean, though, when they talk about Zoomer gaze as the new trend. I really like it. It's really interesting to listen to. It then ends with one of the coolest yet strangest noises that I've ever heard. And it kind of reminds me of one of those ASMR videos where people are like clinking the two glass bottles filled with water together. You know, just. You know, and you'd kind of hope they break because that'd be funny, but they don't somehow, except for that one time. But this song leaves me kind of speechless. I say as I just got done reading almost an entire paragraph worth of speech about this song. It was so messy and just busy, but I found it so oddly beautiful. Kind of in the same way that lightning is, you know? This next song is called Fade Outs, and after the last song, I'm kind of running out of things to say. But this song starts out with a very soft sounding EDM beat that just sounds really nice overall. Until we get into what sounds like an electric guitar with just a whack-ass tone. Then we go back into the beat with a very crushing bass line that doesn't feel very good on my eardrums, but feels nice on my brain and my soul. During the bridge, the guitar comes back in. Shortly after, the song starts to slow down before coming to a close. Pretty simple song overall, but I like it. This next song is called Personal Vengeance. I was kidding. This song is actually called Professional Vengeance, not Personal Vengeance. I'm a dumbass. I don't know how I messed it up. It's right here. Anyway, this song opens up with a sample that might possibly be like an interview for some small town. I couldn't tell you, but it's neat. Then a beat comes in that sort of sounds like the beginning of a high school underdog story. Right before the main character gets shoulder shoved by a very stereotypical looking jock. The beat then cuts out for a while and we get to hear just some nice singing for a second. Then the beat comes back, even more intense this time, where it almost feels like it's crushing me once again. But in a good way. After a bit of that, the beat gets kind of soft again and it doesn't last very long. And then the beat once again feels like it's crushing me, but in a good way. You know, like one of those massages where people step on your back, which does sound really nice in a weird way. Also, my ramen noodles are done. This song does some really cool shit during the outro, though, where it almost sounds like it's glitching at certain points. I'm gonna go get my ramen noodles now, though. I'll be back in a bit. Alright, I'm back. This next song is called Dark Night Castle. We start this song out with various samples of what sounds like an acoustic guitar, very briefly, but it then cuts out as we go into the lyrics. The vocals in this song, much like the other songs, are very heavily auto-tuned, but this time they're paired with what sounds like soft orchestral bits and a sample saying, "I will eat your heart." About a third of the way through this song, we get a part that almost sounds like the microphone is in a windstorm for a couple seconds. The same sound also comes in later throughout the song until the end, where everything starts to fade out. The last song on this album is JR JR JR. All caps, no spaces. Yeah, we start off the song with some like stuttering samples before we go into until we get to a more angry sounding synth, as well as a string instrument that I don't really know the name of. After the sample ends, we go back to that same windy microphone sound, which seems to actually occur a lot in this album, but I never really mentioned it until now. Oh, except this time it's much more bassy and a lot more sudden. Whilst in the verses, the same sound cuts in and out. About halfway through, the song gets louder and a lot more intense, and it goes like that throughout most of the song until the last minute or so, where suddenly it just ends. Hello again, YouTube. I am here all of an hour before I post this video, just because I want to say that this is an awesome album that I really could not find the right words to describe. I realized that this is kind of my first introduction to this style of music, and I just kind of dove headfirst into making a script about it. So for a lot of the segments, I can't find the right words, but hopefully I still get my point across to you guys. In my mind, it sounded a lot more. It just sounds a lot more clunky to me as I'm editing it, so I just wanted to make this little segment here. Now, here is my final thoughts on the album. Jane Remover, I believe, is part of the somewhat new Zoomer gaze genre that up until now I've never really listened to. It's very unique and very interesting to listen to, but if you're someone who is easily overstimulated, then I would recommend being careful listening to this album or just dipping your toes into it kind of slow, just because there is so much shit going on all in a very short span of time that even I had times where I could barely think or barely even process what the hell was going on and needed to take a break or just needed to take a minute to pause. If you think you can stomach it though, then I'd highly recommend listening to it with a decent set of headphones and just enjoying it and absorbing it to figure out what exactly it means to you. This is an album that made me have to pause quite a few times just to really process what the hell was going on. It's an album that made me remember that instead of always making content out of something, I need to take a step back and just at least try to enjoy the music before breaking it down completely. Now, what I just said does not mean I'm going to stop making videos or slow down with my production at all. It just means that I'm gonna take a little more time to really think about music. Anyway, that was Revengeseekerz by Jane Remover. I hope you all enjoyed me yapping, and hopefully I will see you guys next week. I think that's about it. See ya.